As Colorado's golf's favorite son, how's it feel to play another Senior Open in your home state?
It's been thus far, Pete. It's been great. It's been very busy, but it's been good. Our son lives up in Denver, and he just arrived today with his family. One of my grandsons is caddying for me, and his mother and his brother are here with her fiance, and my brother's coming down tomorrow from north of Boulder. So it's a great event, family event. Oh, and by the way, we're playing a golf tournament. It's the way I look at it, and that's the way it'll always be in my life. But having so many formative years here, even though I don't live in the state of Colorado, it still feels like home when I come back. A lot of very dear friends, fraternity brothers from the University of Colorado, guys I played on the football team with, just people that I've met through the years and gotten to know very well, and many of them are here at the Broadmoor. That makes the week for me. That is first prize, and if you win the tournament, that's second prize. Sorry, but that's just the way it is for me. And at this stage of my career and my life, has a seemingly greater importance because it is. And I mean, I'm 73 years old, and what is the realistic goal I can have this week? You know, Dylan and I talked about making the cut. Well, making the cut is it's nice, it's great, but it's not what in my heart I want to say. So I don't want to say that. Do I believe it? Absolutely. Do I think that I can still play to the level of success that I've had in the past? There's some doubt. And when you have doubt, you generally don't have the performance, simply because I don't play as much as I once did. My body just doesn't want to go to the places it used to go. I have to think about things, and when you start trying to connect the dots in a golf swing, it's not a good formula for success. But having said that, you never know. This is a crazy game, and you just never know. And we've a very difficult golf course out there. It's not going to be easy for anyone. But those players that hit the ball a long ways, I think, have a distinct advantage here, because coming into these greens with less club is going to be far easier to negotiate a good score than kind of playing back where I'm playing. So, having said all that, again, you just don't know.
Well, you found it last year, first round. Shot your 72, at 72. What keeps the competitive fire going? Is it partly that you're a past champion? Is it partly you're playing at a place that's dear to your heart? What's the answer there?
Well, probably all the above, Pete. It's hard to separate what has been so near and dear to me for so many years. I mean, I've started playing my first professional event in May of '68, so it's 50 years plus now, and you just don't turn your back on that. It's hard to walk away from it, particularly as competitive as I am, and I'm not ashamed to say that at all. In fact, I'm proud of my competitive spirit. But having said that, it's hard to accept what I've been producing too. So you kind of find yourself in a fine line of what you can and can't do, and what you accept and what you can accept. Just simply, I've lost some distance off the tee. Someone asked, well, how far do you hit an iron now? I don't know. The distances that I once hit a club, I don't know that. So there's a lot of guessing out there. So there's a lot of questions in my game, but I don't know the answers. I think it's evolving, and as it evolves, it's not going to be one day that the sun doesn't shine, and I know what I'm going to do now. I think it's just coming along. I enjoy being with my grandchildren. That, to me and my family, is the greatest thing going, and I'm not going to turn away from that. There's some things that people say, what's on your bucket list? I don't have a bucket. I have a barrel, and I need to get into that barrel at some time. And part of that's my family. They're a big part of that.
So we'll open it up to questions now. Please wait for the question mic so we can have our transcribers get your question. David?
Well, Colorado being, such a big part of your life, we've listened to a string of players come in here and admit their being confounded by the greens. So I'm wondering if the Colorado guy can explain what's going on with these greens that these guys can't figure out.
Right up here, David. I'm not giving the secret away.
Why are they so hard?
They are confounding. They really are. And I think, and I don't play here a lot, but I've played here for a number of times for a lot of years. And this might be the most difficult I've seen these greens on a pace, because there are places out there now where I think we're all shaking our heads saying what used to be let's call it a hole location in 2008 will not be in 2018 because the ball will just go off the green. And the greens, they have speed to them, they're uniform, they're in good shape, but they're pretty darn quick. So I think they're going to have to be very careful where they set some of the hole locations. Even though these greens are big greens, they're really small greens because there's only so many hole locations they can have because there's enough slope, particularly come off of Cheyenne Mountain. And with the contours that are in the greens, it's confounding. Now you take, okay, how far am I going to hit it at this altitude? Well, for me, I just hit normally. I don't have to worry about that one, just one less thing to think about. But it's going to take a lot of imagination. Not just putting, but chipping. How are you going to get yourself around the greens? It's fairly straightforward tee to green. I don't think that's the real challenge, but it's going to be how are we going to keep the ball around the green to have any kind of a shot at a decent score.
Back there, please.
Hale, thinking back to your time at Colorado playing football and golf, what went into your decision or what propelled you into golf instead of continuing on with football?
There was a few health reasons, I guess, like dying. I mean, look at me. Well, I think it was predicated on, I don't mean for this to be a long story because I've got family waiting, so I'm going to try to shorten it. But I came in my 8th game as a sophomore. I hurt my shoulder. We played in the University of Missouri. And I missed the last 2 games, and I got to thinking I'm just getting the you-know-what kicked out of me every game. It's just because I was playing both. I was quarterback and as safety. I was playing a lot of football, and it was some strange things happened under those piles. And so anyway, the spring of '65, I came down here to see Dow Finsterwald. Because Dow's had a reputation as not a PGA champion, but as somebody that might be able to give a person like me some guidance. And I use this quite often, and I thank Dow many times for what he said. And he came, I went down to the practice tee, and it was an impossible task because if somebody asked me the same thing to pass judgment on some young person, can they make it? Well, how do you know? You don't know. But he asked me to hit the ball high, low, hook, fade, and all that stuff, and said, okay, you can do that, but you really have to look at yourself and your heart. What do you want to do? And that's really what happened. And I think it basically came down to the fact that if I was to leave football and leave a full-ride scholarship and go somewhere else where there was lukewarm at best, maybe not even that, we'll call it cold water reception at any other golf school, I'd have to A, sit out a year of eligibility, and B, there was no guarantee of any kind of financial assistance. So it really kind of came down to dollars and cents, and was I going to quit? And I wasn't going to quit. That just wasn't in my blood. So I stayed on and finished out my football career. But I do remember that instance with Dow, and that's why I bring it up, because I think it was a measurement for me of myself. So my golf game got a little bit better. I worked in the summer as a laborer, so I didn't get to play a lot of golf. But when I did play, I played with some intensity. I had to get something out of that because I didn't have that many opportunities. I didn't take things for granted, and I think that in the long run really helped me. I think playing football really helped me. It may have delayed my success, but I think it gave me one up on a number of other players that may have not had that same background. I don't know if I answered your question. It's kind of dancing around. I feel like I'm doing the.
Next question, please. Up the front here. Eric.
So 45 senior or champion tour wins. Do you think Bernard at 37 can catch you?
You know, not one thing I can do about it. He's playing well. I've made the case many times. I think he might be the best senior player that's ever played. He's playing great golf at, what is it, 61 now? Something like that?
Going to be 61.
Yeah. He continues to play good golf. Whether he'll make it or not, I don't know. We all know that it's increasingly difficult. The players that are coming off the regular tour now are formidable players. It's great to see Davis Love in this week, but I think what we see a lot of now is Davis and VJ and Longer and some of the guys that went back to the Masters are playing. They find when they come over to play in our arena, it's not that easy. I think it's still the gift of talent and can play is still here. Now, maybe not at 73 years old, but these guys coming out. So I think Bernard playing the way he has been playing, it's certainly a conceivable thing to do. And I'll be the first to applaud him if he does, because I know how much it takes. The intensity in which I've played, I think, waned a bit because priorities changed. It's simply priorities. And, you know, my health was good, my game was good, but my priorities were changing. And when you take away a little bit from that competitive zeal and put it somewhere else, you lose a little in the transfer.
In the back, please.
Hale. A lot of the guys have talked about how they had never been here before and they're taken away by the beauty and the course and whatnot, but they'd never been to the Broadmoor before. Back when you were on the PGA Tour and earlier, did you ever try to organize an event or say, hey guys, you should come out and check this place out, you're missing out?
Well, there was, you try to make a suggestion, but before you can do any of that, you've got to have somebody who's going to put up the money. Who's going to be the sponsor in Colorado Springs? It's a wonderful place. I've always loved Colorado Springs, and the Broadmoor is a special spot. But who's going to put up the money? NORAD? No. Chamber of Commerce? No. And I don't think they're going to have a company out of Denver come down to Colorado Springs and put on a tournament. No. So it comes down to the numbers. You know, who's going to be the financing company behind it? But yes, I've mentioned it, but where does it go from there?
I was thinking more on the lines of just, I don't know, a couple guys and you're out and they're looking for a vacation place.
Oh, well, I'm going to keep that to myself. They can find their own vacation if I want it all to myself. No, I speak about the Broadmoor anytime I can. If people want to have a great time and come out and see the beauty of the Eastern Slope and the Rocky Mountains, boy, this is a great gateway to do that. There's a lot of things to do around here, and you don't have to go very far to get into some pretty fabulous country. So, and the people that are first time here, they are blown away. And we've had 2 or 3 really beautiful days in which to showcase the Broadmoor in Colorado Springs.
Dave.
Putting you on the spot, could this be your last one? Could this be your last U.S. Senior Open? And if it is, would that be pretty appropriate, given where it is?
You're a terrible person, aren't you? After all we've been through, you put me on the spot. I don't know, Dave. I really don't. Yeah, what I want to say is no. I'll be back, but I don't know. I really don't. I'm not trying to avoid your question. I just don't. I have a real answer for that. I think how this year, not just this event, but this year goes, when you take retirement off the tour, you're only allowed to play 11 or less tournaments. So just that alone, your skills diminish. Not only as you get old, but your playing skills, you know, your reaction to circumstances, and it just diminishes. So I am not going to go be a token player. This week was special because of all the reasons we've talked about. Next year at Notre Dame, not nearly as special, so we'll see how things are developing. I love the USGA events. You know that. So will I be there? Maybe, if I can bring my cart.
Thank you, sir.
My four-wheel, you know. I don't know. I'd love to say that this is not my last one, but we'll see.